Coming in now through gate number 8, contribution. We are finding ourselves coming to the very end of Taurus season and into the beginning of Gemini season. So there is an element of now crossing over a bridge between the second house of stability, resources, self-worth, and value, and now moving into the third house of communication, the early years, and our persona. Whenever we have an integration between two astrological bodies, there is not a clean stopping of one and then a starting of another. There very much is a blending of the energies. And this is where you may be finding that during this activation of gate number 8 within the mandala wheel, you may be feeling the elements of earth and the elements of air coming together and either providing some clarities, it's stirring up some dust within yourself, some debris that's ready to be seen and to be released. And if we're not careful enough in remaining grounded and really solidifying ourselves to the earth and the work that we came here to do, it can also sometimes create a very big kind of tornado energy within us that leaves us feeling a sense of being disconnected. So we want to pull in the element of earth to help us to stabilize, to remember that the journey through Taurus season was all about building that strong foundation. And now as we're emerging even further in through the springtime, up through the earth itself, breathing in the clarity of the fresh air, this is an opportunity to renew while remaining deeply rooted. So it is an integration of both the upper and the lower bodies within yourself, coming into that throat center. And here we're going to find the shadow of mediocrity, the dilemma of imitation, the gift of our style, and reaching for the highest light aspect of uniqueness. This is also another gene key or gate. Human design refers to it as a gate. Gene keys is the key that opens up the gateway. This is the second part now of the ring of water. And we introduced gene key number 2 earlier in the teachings of Taurus season, and really talking about how the gateway 2 was of the divine feminine. It is pure water flow. It is a state of just being, not having to do anything. So the feminine aspect of us is very nurturing. It's very just in that intuitive knowing, and it moves with the flow of life. It doesn't force things into happening, but it can make tremendous things happen because water just knows how to seep in to the cracks, to the crevices, to move things out of the way and open up to the greater flow of life. Well, now that we're coming into gene key or gate number 8, this is the other part of that. So to refresh ourselves in the teachings of the Gene Keys by Richard Rudd, the ring of water draws humans along their inevitable journey to self-realization. This is the great feminine ring made of 2 of the prime feminine gene keys in the human genome. The ring of water forms a kind of eternal genetic knot with its polarity, the ring of fire. These 2 chemical families move us along the trajectory of our destinies, ensuring that our genetic material finds its opposite match. Even deep within the body, these chemical families set the primal blueprint for the balance of all the opposing forces inside us. It is in the crossfire of these 2 codon rings that the mystical figure 8 is forged within each of us. This eternal love knot deep within our planetary gene pool sets each man and each woman squarely on the human journey. So it really is about finding the balance within yourself. We are all equal parts, divine masculine, divine feminine. And when we bring the mind, which is the masculine, and the body, which is the feminine, into balance, it supports the divine child inside of you. So we are really reaching to find our own inner harmony by leaning into the truth of our divine nature and releasing the fears through that purification of the fire energy that does not serve the highest good. When we look at the teachings of the I Ching, which is the book of changes, gate number 8 or gene key number 8, known as contribution, is co-creation, is realized by the contributions of individuals to promote the personal empowerment of one and all. An agent of co-creation is the one who often assists others to expand their creativity. So we are all co-creators of life. We all play a role in the power of co-creating with our higher self, with spirit. We've been gifted free will, the free will choice to choose. So that is an act of creation. When we put our free will towards what is of the highest good, we find ourselves in a position of service to the whole. So as we serve the whole, not just ourselves, we in turn are also supported. And that is the highest aspect of contribution. So taking a look at your human design chart, you're going to want to take a look to see if you have the third center from the top colored in, known as your throat center. You're also going to want to see if you have gate number 8 circled within your chart. And I'm going to briefly touch on a couple different components here. If you have a colored in throat center, it is defined, then you have a consistent voice dependent on whatever one of those numbers known as gates within your human design chart. If you have gate number 8 circled and it is colored in, you have consistent energy moving through the gate, the gene key of contribution, which we're going to talk about in this lesson. If you have this center, the throat center, white in your chart, and you have gate number 8 circle, you will experience the properties of this gate, this gene key, whenever you come into definition with somebody who is colored in. So this means you have inconsistent energy. Now, we're all moving and passing other people all day long within a household, within a business. So it is very likely that we will all have opportunities, whether you have that gate number 8 circled or not, to experience this, to be influenced by it. When we move through the turning of our mandala wheel, and I just want to go back for a second, as this wheel turns through the astrological bodies, those gateways open. So during this time, in the opening of the mandala wheel, everybody is experiencing gate number 8. So this is where looking at your chart helps you to anchor in, well, what is very consistent for you? What gates do you have circled in, those numbers within a colored in center, meaning it's very consistent? Which ones appear for you within a white center? So you are getting glimpses of it. It's not consistent, but it is a part of who you are. And which ones are you wide open to, meaning you don't have them circled, but you're going to experience them in your interactions with others and as the wheel does its turn around our normal astrological year. So we have opportunities throughout the entire year to experience all 64 of these circled numbers, which are gates, and then have the gene key to open up the gate further. And they're all linked to our cellular DNA, to the 64 codon strands within our body. So in this particular case, number 8, this is in the throat center, in the voice, in our communication, in our ability to manifest. And it comes with this self-expression of I can make a contribution or I cannot. It's a knowing in that energy. And it's really about your own unique self-expression. So you may hear yourself often using phrases like, can I help? Is there anything that I can do? And noticing that it's really hard to just sit on the sidelines. It's hard to be left out of the activity, not liking to just do nothing and just sit to watch everybody else. It really wants to be involved. It wants to contribute to whatever is transpiring. And it's really looking to make a valuable contribution. So it's looking to be recognized. It knows that it can help with a project, a cause, and it wants to be afforded an opportunity to be in that position where it can share its knowledge and it is appreciated for its contribution. So it really does try to seek to be in the middle of that action. And whenever possible, it really does want to take charge. This is an energy that just doesn't always want to follow along. It does like to work with a team, but it often sees a new direction. It sees a new possibility, some creative potential, a new way of doing things, a way of organizing people to move more efficiently. It really does have a unique self-expression that is being born into the life, into the world around it. So it is there to help move others towards new possibilities, but when we get stuck in our human mind and we get stuck in a narrative of wanting to prove ourselves or wanting to show somebody that we can do something, if it's coming from a lower vibrating energy, or if we feel like we have to do something, but we really don't want to do it, which is known as the mediocrity, that's the shadow element here, that's going to create chaos. You're going to lead with half a heart. You're going to do things with half a heart. You're going to say you're going to do something, maybe start something, and then not have the energy to finish it. So sometimes that can create more chaos. It's more scattered instead of bringing it all together and pushing it towards that finish line. And you may notice that if you have this gate, this activation within your chart, that you do have issues following through with commitments. And part of that is recognizing within yourself that we are energy beings. And when we're not listening to the body, the wisdom of the feminine that knows its available energy at this time, and then only doing those things where you have the energy, you have the yes from that internal guidance, then you're operating in an extent that you are depleting your energy resources. When you say yes to something where your body has said no and you go against your intuition and you move into that state of depletion, that is where you are just feeling yourself in those lower vibrating energies. You're doing it because the mind says you have to, you don't really want to, you're feeling exhausted, this isn't entertaining, you'd rather be somewhere else. And other people in that vibration, they feel it. So even if you are doing good quality work, there's still this sense of no satisfaction. It doesn't have the same kind of hum and energy as when you really commit yourself to something that you feel passionate about. It feels rewarding. You're getting good rapport from working with other people. And you'll probably look back in your life to see, when you've really trusted your inner guidance and your attachment to doing the right things for the right reasons, and it comes from that place of your energy saying, yes, I am ready. Yes, I have the available resources, that you do find your way all the way through in that commitment. And it's also recognizing that a lot of times in this gate activation, in our ability to make a contribution or not, it's not always about being the one doing all the work. It often comes in with the extent of being able to point the way forward, offering some guidance, offering some assistance, and then knowing when to step back because others are stepping in. So it becomes like a dance. When we step into roles of micromanaging, we are not allowing other people to come in and shine. But when we come in and we do our part of the dance and someone else gets their part and another comes in, then there's this beautiful contribution. There's this unique project, creativity that comes to life. And there is a lot of satisfaction. There is a lot of joy being shared by all the players in that contribution. It is not just all about the self. And when we do things where it's only about the self, serving the self, making sure it's our way, making sure we're in control, it just doesn't have the same effect. It might be a great idea and it might work well, but does it have the same high sustaining vibration? So there's a lot of potential in this gate for your own exploration. And a part of that is because it is also part of an energy flow known as the channel of inspiration. And this is where we see the gate 1 right underneath gate number 8, which is in the center of self. That is the high heart in human design. It holds all 4 of our directional gates, all 4 of our love gates. It also houses all 12 of the zodiac signs. So this means that it's the whole wheel of the universe. The universe resides inside of you. So the universe is there to support your creative expression. It's there to inspire you to do new things. And again, you're going to want to check your chart to see, do you have this channel already in your human design? And if you do, this is a really big theme of who you are and wanting to recognize the lower vibrating energies in order to grow to your highest potential. So what does that mean? Well, it's really pulling itself towards the directional gate of self-expression, which in that gate number 1 is all about our place in the now. In this moment, how much energy do I have to pull towards what is being asked, what I'm inspired to do? And that gateway number 1, this is of pure yang energy. It is pure masculine. So the masculine is of the mind, but it's the energy of doing. The feminine is being, it's the body. So when the body works well with the mind, the doing, and they work in the harmony of knowing in the correct timing, then the capacity for creative flow is absolutely unlimitless. So it's there to support our capacity for creativity. It is someone who is a very creative role model, and that requires recognition for being a guide and for being a leader. If you have this channel in your human design chart and you're not being recognized for what it is that you are here to guide towards, what it is you feel passionate about, what it is that is wanting to be birthed within your own creativity, then you're in alignment with what is not of your highest good. So sometimes we've been taught that it's not appropriate to seek recognition, that we need to be humble. And being humble and being recognized are 2 different things. If you're operating purely from your mind, your ego, where you're trying to prove yourself and trying to get recognition to support having to prove yourself, then it's not coming from the purity of the creative potential. But if you are being recognized for your creation, your innovation, your uniqueness, your new, fresh ways of bringing something to the table, well, then that recognition is like having the permission of, okay, it's go time. I have an audience here who is receptive. I have people on board who are buying into this. So now I have a team where we can all work together as one cohesive unit to bring this forward. So you're also somebody who really knows how to take care of situations. You do lead by example because you have to walk the talk. It's one thing to have an idea, but if you're not implementing those ideas for yourself, it lacks that potential for people to buy into it. But if you're walking your talk and then other people see the results of your creativity, of your self-expression, and they resonate with that, and you're recognized for, wow, that really does work. That really is making a difference. Well, now there's more rapport. Now there's an interest. Now the other individual feels a spark of passion within themselves to want to get on board and to do their own work. So you are likely someone who has a very strong sense of identity, knowing who you are and walking the course that is correct for you. And when you're doing that, you are a natural inspiration to other people. And people can trust you, they can rely on you because they know that you're going to do what you say you're going to do. They may not know how you're going to do it because that's the element of creativity that is fresh within you, but they just know if you're walking somewhere and you're committed to that journey, they can trust on you to see it all the way through. So you're also somebody who's very able to motivate others, and that might be verbally, that might be just through you doing the action steps that are correct for you. That might be you bringing the creativity that then brings that spark of, oh, that's how we can do it. So maybe something has been stuck for a really long time and you just happen to pass by at that moment, feel inspired to share, to give a fresh perspective, which then provides the necessary energy to motivate others to see it through another way and to find their way. So it has incredible potential to uplift. This is very much a acoustic channel, meaning it's got the vibration element of sound. And true sound is beyond words. And that is why whenever we're working with the throat center, we have such pressure to communicate, but we forget that we've been given two ears and one mouth. So when we really learn to be more mindful of the power of listening and listening to the inner guidance, listening to the higher expansions of our energy and allowing it to flow in instead of being so reactive, then we're going to really tune in. You're going to be able to hear what just sounds right, what sounds right about people, projects, places, and music. So music is any kind of tone vibration. So music, pure music, is absolutely soundless. It is vibrating at such a high frequency, we can't hear it with the human ears, but you may all of a sudden know something. You've just got a clear hit. You got a clear knowing that that is correct for you. So you're always tuning into your environment to know, well, what direction should I take? So when we take the time to really stop and pause and check in with your inner guidance, check in with the way your energy is here to operate for you, with you, not against you, then you're going to really just know how to pivot on the spot and go with the flow. Things are going to feel more effortless when you're trusting in your unique way of doing something. This is also going to affect the tone of your voice. When you are unsure of something, when you're trying to force something, when you're rushing something, when your heart is not into something, you're going to hear it in your tone. Other people are going to pick up on that and they're not going to be so captivated by your message. They're going to hear the fear, they're going to hear the insecurity, or they're going to hear your passion. They're going to hear your commitment. They're going to hear your joy, and they're going to be tuned into that vibration. Now, it also recommends it here that you do not volunteer for things. And as much as there's this energy in there of, oh, I could help, I could do that, I'm really good at this, I want to make a contribution, and it dislikes sitting on the sidelines, when you raise your hand and you prematurely allow yourself to say, pick me over here, then you are denying yourself of the potential of your energy, your true expression to be recognized and invited in. So it may feel sometimes like, if I don't raise my hand, I'm never going to be able to do it. Well, have you ever sat still long enough to see what happens when you are patient? Because a lot of times when we try the experiment and we stop volunteering and someone else gets picked, instead of being happy for that person or happy for ourselves that, well, something better is coming, something new is coming, we become deflated and we go, oh, I guess I wasn't good enough. And it spirals us down into those negative emotions that keep us stuck in the narrative. Well, I've got to prove myself. I've got to be something. I've got to do what others want me to do. When you can really hold your ground and you can trust that the universe is aligning you to the correct invitation for you, and to keep yourself available, to be open and ready and receptive so that when that call comes in, you can flow right into it. If you give in with the impatience and you just start picking up projects yourself, forcing movement, you're not going to be ready and available when that call does come. And that temptation can be very strong. And that's why we are still in the energy of Taurus, that foundation, building your roots into the earth, building the foundation of you, really tapping into your inner wisdom, getting the energy flow moving through your body, and also now moving into Gemini to open up communication. The more you tune in to consult with your guidance team, the more you use your free will to ask your guides for help, to ask your counsel for help, to ask of the higher energies to help, the more you're going to raise yourself up and out, and the more you're going to be connecting. You're going to be telling the universe that you are ready to inspire, to be an inspiration. You are ready to give birth to this creative element within you. You may not know what it is, but you are excited. You are ready. Your cup is full. Then they will align you with just the perfect opportunity to match that vibration. But if there's still a sense of insecurity in there, fear in there, doubt in there, you're not trusting in you, you're not trusting in being one with your support team, it does not align in the way that it should. And that's where we often take on projects or we say yes to people that aren't of the highest good. They aren't in your true alignment, but they do still teach you something. And they teach you how to center back into your core, to be in the alignment of your truth, to be in your place in the now, to tune in, to become your own inspiration, and to do the foundation work that is needed in order to really open up your ears and to rise you up and out. We're going to move now into the gene key. So this is the key that is unlocking the gateway in number 8, contribution. And this is Richard Rudd's teaching of the Gene Keys. So we are going to be using the book, The Gene Keys by Richard Rudd. And I do highly encourage, if you can get a copy of this book, please do. There is a lot of material in there for your own contemplation. I am sharing some glimpses of that teaching to use it as an opportunity to have a conversation and to spark your interest in discovering more. So here we're going to be looking at the shadow of mediocrity, the dilemma of imitation, the gift of style, and the suity of exquisiteness. And I love the peacock. The peacock represents our higher psychic ability, but it's also about the rhythm, the dance, and knowing when it's time to expose yourself and when it's time to keep that inwards, to do that inner journey before sharing it with the rest of the world. So it's always the question as we go into this is, are you contributing to yourself first so that you know that what you are bringing out into the world is coming from the purity of your love and it is serving the highest good? So let's talk about the shadow components first. So this is a mediocrity and the dilemma of imitation. And it really carries at the root of it the vibration of being different, so being afraid to be different, and also being afraid of success. So it really does prevent us then from believing in ourselves enough to achieve our dreams and our desired life. And it knows at some subconscious level that to be successful, it's going to have to rebel against the whole of society and society's expectations. So breaking away from the so-called norm. And when you reflect that within yourself, really feel into that fear of success. Knowing you have all these creative ideas, knowing that you're seeing a new way forward, but also knowing you're going to have to go in a different direction from the mass media. You have to get out of that box. You have to face ridicule, judgment, disappointing others that don't understand your journey. So sometimes that shadow, that fear of what it may cost based on what the mind will say becomes what keeps us from ever realizing our dreams and our desires. So by acknowledging that in yourself, discovering it within yourself, you're going to find where you create your own self-sabotage, where you put the barriers up so as soon as you start to grow, when you get to a certain point, it'll drop down and it'll prevent you from going any further. It keeps you and pulls you back into staying in your comfort zone. And it is because of that fear of success. What if you were to achieve that? Well, the mind instantly creates a story of what you're going to lose. The body knows what it's going to gain. So when we can bring those things into balance, well, now we have a new birthing of an opportunity, and that opportunity is unknown because the divine child, the divine inspiration within us, whatever is coming to life, has not yet taken form. So imagine if it came from having a healthy mind, a healthy logical sense of reasoning, and a healthy body that is nourishing, innovative, intuitive, that is cradling this new divine child. Just imagine. So the true nature of individuality is rebellion, but rebellion is unsafe. So the mass consciousness of humanity chooses the illusion of security instead. And that can be a little bit comical when you really consider it. And taking it back into yourself. How many times do we do things because they're comfortable to us? And we say, well, I'm safe. I'm safe if I put all my money in the bank. I'm safe if I create this kind of house. If I stay within this job, I'm safe. But then you look at, well, but you're floating in a marble called Earth in the middle of space that's not held by anything. And at any moment, that house could collapse or the job could be gone or something can happen that's really out of your control. So, how safe are you really? And it can be really hard for us to look at our illusion of safety because we do seek comfort. We do seek an assurance that if I do this, I will be successful. We're not taught to trust in life, that life is there to support our highest good and will provide everything that is needed for us to achieve that. We've been taught that we as individuals must force our way into creating the life we desire. So mediocrity has two main functions. It keeps us from thinking outside of the box, and it causes us to think like everybody else. I'm just going to do what the mass wants. I'm going to buy into whatever I'm being told. I'm not going to question it. That is the way it's always been done. It's working. I'm just going to stick to that. It is serving society rather than evolution. It's not helping us grow. It's trying to keep us the way that it's been. So it keeps things controlled by a system. And in that system, you stay in the background. You're not a major life player. You're just part of that background. It's in that gray area. You look out into the mass of humanity, it's like zombies walking around, serving a job, serving a narrative, serving a role that supports a society that is operating based on government of what they want from input, from output, and that is fed down into the narrative. But how many people actually take a look at whether that government is operating in the highest good for its people? And we're starting to see, as things are starting to dismantle in the world, we're seeing the secrets, we're seeing the corruption, we're seeing the lies, we're seeing the agendas, and we're starting to question, which is beautiful. We're starting to wake up and go, something does not feel right. Something in this system is not serving the highest good. It's not helping, it is hurting. Staying in these comforts, staying in this box is hurting, it's suffocating. So you may be feeling that within your body that you're so ready to break away. You're coming out of the shadows within yourself. It has a lot of influences, and this is where we look back at how we are conditioned. We are carrying these conditions within ourselves. So part of that is having to go through a process of purification, of really getting to know you, and a lot of times forgetting everything that you've ever been told and starting fresh, having your own experience. So one of our greatest influences in the Book of the Gene Keys was the example of educational systems, and very specifically our early learning, so the ages of 0 to 7, which forms our physical layer. 7 to 14, we step into the emotional layer. 14 to 21, we develop our mental perception of the world, but our physical, who we are, how we fit in, that is developed within our first 7 years. And the way that our educational systems are set up right now, it encourages us to be the same. It does not embrace our differences. It doesn't support different ways of learning, different ways of thinking, different ways of doing things. It tries to get everybody to move in the same direction, do the same activity at the same time and in the same way. And why? Well, because being different threatens the system. Our educational system does not know how to support different learners. It's learning to do that. It's starting to get more staffing in that can help with that, but it doesn't have the resources and the support that it needs to fully go in that direction. So we're seeing a lot of children falling through the cracks. We're seeing a lot of people being labeled with learning disabilities, ADHD, dyslexia. They're seen as problems instead of looking at them as gifts and new opportunities to learn in different ways. By setting up those systems where sameness was the rule, we successfully turned individuals into outsiders and reactionaries. So if you didn't fit into the box, if you didn't fit into the educational system, if you didn't do well in that structure, well, you were an outsider. You were measured on a scorecard, you were given a report card, and you failed to meet the mark according to that system. So a lot of times then we have our reactionaries. We have the rebel. Well, I'm just not going to go anyway. People think I'm dumb, I'm just going to be dumb. People think I'm bad, I'm just going to be bad. Right? We have all this reactive energy that the child tries to create to justify and rationalize why somebody has that narrative. It doesn't understand that it was energetically designed in a different way, but in a way that was absolutely correct for that individual. Because the system does not support and recognize that. So now we have to recognize that. We have to support ourselves. We have to support the children that are coming in, that are way more advanced, that require different kinds of structures that are flexible, that are loving, that are adaptable, that allow room for creativity, for expansion, for newness. So we have to unlearn who we as individuals believe ourselves to be based on the conditioning of society, education, cultures, religion, governments. And it was in our parents' home, their parents' home. This is generational in nature. So we have to go within ourselves to question, does that opinion feel right? Does that process feel right? Is that really who I am? Was I really a problem? Are children really problems? Look at children through your adult eyes. Are they really to blame? Or was something else needed to support that child? So we go back to unravel and we go back to see how we learn to adapt, the behaviors and the comfort zones we created to fit into society. And as you tell yourself you are now safe, you can start to release those own structures that you have strengthened around yourself to protect that inner child. So that is the inside journey. And this is where we see the shadow element serves the gift. Your awareness of the shadow, you're feeling like I'm just mediocre. I don't fit in anywhere. I never measure up. I am tired of being like everybody else. I'm tired of doing things in a different way. Right? Like all those times that you question yourself, your separateness is drawing you inside to discover who you are. It's drawing you in to come out of the victim and to embrace your uniqueness, to look and see that you're the only one with your thumbprint. You are designed to be you. You're not designed to think like everyone else and be like everybody else. You're not designed to stay in the box. So we're learning now to throw the lid off the box, and we're seeing structures dismantling all over the world because they do not serve what is for the highest good. And out of that, we're also going to see a lot of new rising, new opportunity that is designed to support moving us into a higher vibrational frequency, moving us into that 5D reality. So what are the consequences of staying under the shadow, staying in that victim mentality, staying in the imitation energy of just being like everybody else, just being one of the masses? Well, you're not going to become the hero or heroine of your life. You will stay as the victim. You will stay in a state of waiting for someone to come to rescue you and not recognizing that we're here to rescue ourselves. We're here to become our own hero and heroine. So it's then settling for being content with just dreaming about what life could be, but that always stays as a dream. It never becomes a reality. It never becomes a manifestation. It's always just a daydream. It is disconnected from what one believes can actually be achieved. So then you become a follower of outside authorities. You give your power away to everybody else. You give your power away to the system. And we often see people then marrying into the system. So whether it's a job where you are working certain hours for retirement pension or for some kind of security, and you don't like the job, but you're going to stay with the job because it provides that security, well, that's being married into the system. We assume a lot of different roles and a lot of responsibilities, and we convince ourselves, well, that's who I am, and that's what I'm supposed to do. Supposed to do. When we turn inwards, does that feel right? Is that story you're telling yourself, does that really feel right to you? Or is there holes kind of poking out now going, it's time to challenge some of those belief systems? So the shadow represents the compromised lifestyle, the unimaginative, the conformist life lived by the majority of individuals. So it's not easy to break away. It does take a lot of courage, a lot of innovation, which is why this is a role model channel, which is why it requires someone to walk the talk, to be an inspiration for others, to set the example. If you wish to escape mediocrity, you will have to find your own path and invent your own identity to the world. A free thinker is someone who can see beyond the current structures imposed by life. It is a person who lives spontaneously of their own creativity. They live freely, following no one, although they may be influenced and inspired by others. That shadow also comes up in two different ways. You can be either repressive or you can be reactive. So this is an opportunity for you to contemplate, to see, well, where do you seem to fall more? Are you more repressive in nature, reactive in nature? Can you identify both sides of this within yourself? So the example of the repressive side is being wooden. And wooden in the extent of, well, you're just a puppet on a string and you're hollowed out. You don't have any backbone. There's no life force energy within yourself and no true sense of purpose. Things are just kind of meaningless. You're just going through the motions to get to the end of your day. So it's been carved out and shaped by society for society in order to fit into society. It's just going through the motions. It no longer has any dreams of their own, or if they do dream, that is that distant possibility. It's not achievable, but it's just there. So they become swallowed up by responsibilities and really compromise themselves most of their life. You can look back and see compromise after compromise after compromise because of so-called responsibilities. And sometimes we're meant to experience that journey. And I can think of one of my grandmothers who wanted nothing more than to just be an actor, wanted to be like in Broadway and Hollywood and just get out there and have this freedom of stepping into character roles and stepping onto the stage. But she was a mother of 5 children. And they didn't believe in birth control. They didn't have the resources then, and she really didn't want to be a mother. And because of that, she wasn't a very good mother because her heart wasn't in it. It was very mediocre. She wanted to be on the stage. And the children, to some extent, paid the price for her not being able to do what she wanted to do. So they didn't really get the benefit of being in the presence of somebody who was very happy and fulfilled. I imagine that they may have had a better life if she would have followed her dream, right? Because when she would be in their presence or when they would go to see her, I imagine they would see a different woman than the one that raised them. So being in that shadow energy, you're living a life that does not belong to you. And there's no space in it to breathe or to create. So the spirit collapses inward. It almost like the life force, your soul, your creativity just gets sucked in. It's afraid to come out. It's not allowed to come out. It doesn't have time to come out. And I'm sure we all have times in our life where that is a reality. We can relate to that. And when you can relate to something, then you can recognize when that energy starts to bring you into that state. And you can go, wait a minute. And you start to breathe into it. You start to release it. You start to relax. You start to question your fears. Why am I afraid of being so different? Why am I afraid of success? And breathing into that energy to see, well, what comes up for you when you sit with yourself, when you inspire yourself? Someone who is repressive is not going to leave a relationship, even if it is harmful or it is not good for them. And that includes a business relationship, a personal relationship, a financial relationship. And they don't leave it because they're afraid of change. It's really that simple. When we look at the concept of change and how we are changing all the time, we're always losing skin, we're always losing cells, we're always allowing the inside to start coming out. Every 7 years, your inside is on the outside and you start again. We're always in a state of change. So really questioning the validity of your own fear. And a lot of times, our strongest relationship that we do not leave is the relationship of who we believe ourselves to be. And questioning whose idea is that? Whose story is that? Whose narrative is that? Is that your truth? And what if you were to let it go? What if you were to start anew? The reactive side of mediocrity is artificial. Wearing a mask, pretending to be somebody who you are not. Taking on the actor and the actress role, going out into the world and putting on a facade. And then when you're home behind closed doors, you're a totally different person. When nobody's looking, you're a totally different person. So spirit then becomes channeled into the world where it creates an illusion of itself based on its dreams. We want to be a certain something, to be recognized for certain something. So we dress the character, we embody that character, we pretend to be that character, but we don't really believe in ourselves. It's not really who we are. We pretend we're braver when we're not really. We're pretending we're professionals when we really want to tell somebody off. There's many ways that this can show up. It can show up in clothing styles and haircuts and dressing into a culture, trying to fit into a certain business or a group of people, but not really feeling like that's the correct niche for you, but still acting the part, acting the role. So it's acting out a false reality. It has a really hard time sometimes keeping up with its own narrative, what it tells people, the illusions we can create. Looking out at the world of social media, how many social media accounts actually portray the person's real life? Or do they just show all the moments that they want everybody to see? Is it a truth of their reality? Probably not. Businesses are the same. They're going to put up the front that they want you to see. Governments are going to sell you the narrative that they want you to believe. But is it true? It may seem successful externally, but inside they've compromised their inner spirit. You can feel it in the heart of you. When you're trying to be somebody or not, you can feel it in the heart. It squeezes. You can feel it in the stomach that just tightens. Maybe you're feeling it in the jaw, clenching the teeth. Maybe you grind your teeth. There's anger that's trying to come out. And that's our inner spirit that is getting pissed off, literally, with our human, our mind, trying to tell it what to do when it wants to just be itself. We were raised in a world where it was not okay to just be you. Isn't it time to change that story? Isn't it time to free ourselves and to let that narrative go? In the reactive side, individuals cannot stay in their relationship because eventually the facade is discovered, the act is discovered, they're called out. The fakeness is discovered, and then when it happens, they become angry. They're caught in a lie, they're caught in their story. That creates an anger that, oh my gosh, I've just been discovered. And so you run. You run away from that because you can no longer stay. You're not willing to be real, and they know that you're being false. So you got to go. You got to run. And it's only when we stop lying to ourselves that we can then really commit to healthy relationships. It's only when we're willing to be vulnerable, to be real, to be authentic, can we attract beautiful, real, authentic relationships. We're going to move now into the gift of style. And this, according to the Gene Keys, this is the rebel with a cause. And it's knowing that your true nature, your true essence is wildness. You are like the wildflower. You are organic. You are creation in movement. You're not static. You're not cookie cutter. You are wild. So to have style means to follow your own rebellious spirit out into the world, to allow for the natural flowering of your individuality, your true nature, which really means being yourself regardless what anybody else thinks. Moving through the program in the mind, the conditioning of the heart that wants to prove itself, the mind that doesn't think that it's enough, and recognizing that you came with everything you need to be successful for what your soul is here to do. And all it asks of you is to let it be free to create that which it came here to create. Doesn't matter what anybody else thinks, they have their own journey to do. If they're paying that much attention to you, well, maybe you will inspire them to then start working on themselves. Style doesn't move through the mind. It bypasses the mind. You cannot just think about it, create it. It can't be imitated. It can't be preconceived. It just happens. It happens spontaneously. It happens naturally. It's more than skin deep. It is the cutting edge of creation itself. It's life flowing through you. Life is you. You are life. So the gift of style manifests individual dreams. It brings them into reality. It brings your creation into form, into the world of form. It's not just about dreaming about them. Individuals manifesting the gift of style, they have surrendered themselves into the creative process that controls them rather than them controlling it. Free thinkers who find their own sense of style are not really concerned with fitting in. Their only concern is to free more free thinkers. Here to shake up the world, the rebel with a cause, daring to be your authentic self without apology and helping to support others to do the same in whatever form that means to them. So we get to the highest light potential within this gate, the Sudi of exquisiteness. And exquisiteness is experienced when the divine essence begins to shine through the individual. It is a beauty beyond words. You shine like a diamond in the heart of creation, and wherever you look, you see other diamonds in various states of clarity. Each one is unique. Each one is exquisite and incomparable. Such people create their path as they walk it. Their legacy to the world is to dismantle all concepts of how we should live or what one needs to do in order to attain any particular state. So just imagine that there's no rules, there's no how-to-do book. It's not a fight to awaken, but it's a natural, organic process of spending time with you, getting to know you, falling in love with you, trusting in yourself, knowing that you're the only one with your thumbprint. You're the only one. You are the puzzle piece that is needed in the intrinsic design of the world, of humanity. And we've been raised into a system that has us competing with one another, comparing ourselves to one another. We get measured as children when we are born. We get measured in our height, in our weight, in our head circumference. What if you let that all go? What if you were to fully accept yourself as you are and start to see yourself through the eyes of newness, through the eyes of awe and wonder, to be the loving parent, the loving masculine of the mind, the loving feminine of the body that supports you, the divine child, to contribute to the world what it is that you came here to do. And the discovery of that is what is magical. That is when you trust walking the path, not knowing where it is leading, not knowing how things are going to unfold, but you put one foot in front of the other as you trust in your inner guidance. And that is why this is all about self-actualization. Nobody else can tell you what is correct for you. It emerges from the cells of your body. You unlock the keys, the codes of your potential as you start believing and as you build that foundation. That was the journey through Taurus season. All the astrological signs support that. Now we're going to move into the Gemini. We're going to split the communication. We're going to start looking at the element of air. This side, that side, and trying to see if we can bring it into balance, harmony, to stay committed to ourselves. This is your unique journey. And I am so grateful to be on this voyage with you. Namaste. The light in me sees the light in you. Take care.